right, let's do a crossover to London for an opening call with my colleague, Juliana. Good morning, Juliana. Good news for Londoners as some big lenders have begun reopening their doors to British borrowers, making it easier to get a home loan. Aside from Nationwide, which other mortgage institution has kickstarted this process and what strategies have they applied?
Good morning, Chimeze. Well, also we've got Nationwide, Halifax, Santander, RBS and some other smaller lenders really adapting to what's happening in this unprecedented environment. As soon as Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced a lockdown a couple of weeks ago, there were so many restrictions put on mortgage lenders and brokers. And so a lot of big banks decided to stop lending to customers. So unless you had a really big mortgage, a big deposit, you were just not able to access this money. But they have adapted. They've tried ways around working within the market. And of course, they want to ease the potential consequences once these lockdown restrictions are lifted. And so, yes, a slew of lenders have started offering loans of up to 80 or 85%. So if you are looking for a property at this time, which of course not many of us are, this is great news for you.
And how verifiable is this claim by AA that in the midst of the lockdown, essential workers, including NHS staff, are being ripped off by petrol companies, even when oil prices are plummeting?
Well, it's a bit of a salacious headline, but nevertheless, some of the facts are true. We've all been reporting about it this week and weeks before that the oil market is just so volatile at the moment, and the AA are wondering why this hasn't been reflected in the petrol pumps. A couple of weeks ago, when Brent crude was trading below the usual standard, we did see, especially within the supermarkets, that they had started to lower their petrol prices. But now what we saw at the beginning of the week with WTI, the AA are starting to ask questions as to why this hasn't been reflected in the fuel. So I think, again, I say it's a salacious headline because at the moment, of course, the only people that are supposed to be travelling are essential and key workers, which, of course, are many people that work in the front line of the NHS. But it will send a sharp sign to petrol pumpers because, of course, many of them are able to set the prices because they do have some overheads that they have to pay. And I think AA is suggesting they should be lowered.
So how has the market numbers opened this morning after the low inflation rate reported yesterday?
Well, we've got a bit of breaking news here in the UK, and that's that we've had the flash PMI composite numbers. Those purchasing managers index numbers just show you how your economy is doing in manufacturing, construction and services. 50 is the benchmark. Anything above 50, it's expanding. Anything below is contracting. We had really poor figures in March, which already fell to 36. But now in April, the PMI composite in the UK has fallen to 12.9. I was listening to one economist just before I came into the studio, and they believe that this is the worst the British economy has been since 1709. Yes, 1709, which is incredible. It hasn't really affected the FTSE at the moment. The FTSE opened about 11 points lower this morning, which was about 0.2%. And I presume that one of the reasons why we're not seeing much market reaction at the moment, this could change at intraday, is because the traders just know how bad the British economy is. But this is incredibly worrying and does suggest that when we do look at GDP figures for the end of the month, then we could be contracting by as much as 7%. So we're really in unprecedented times. And I hate to say the word unprecedented because it's probably one of the most overused terms at the moment. But a fall to 12.9 when the benchmark is 50 is really troubling.
And are there corporates to watch out for today?
Well, some of the corporate news, I presume, are Unilever. Unilever, everybody knows the company Unilever. Their shares are down 4.5%. Before we got these PMI numbers, that was one of the biggest stories on Market Street today because they released their quarterly sales figures and they're really disappointing. So everybody's running away from them. But aerospace engineer Meggitt, they're the biggest riser on the FTSE. You would expect them to fall considering so many planes are grounded at the moment. Their shares are up 6.9%. And that's because they just announced that the majority of their manufacturing sites are still ticking over despite the lockdown. And at the moment, the pound is up 0.9% on the dollar. So £1 will get you just over $1.23, Chimaze.
All right, Juliana, we'll look out for more updates later in the day.